On August 15, 1977, a man named Jerry Emmon was reviewing data printouts from a radio telescope in Ohio. He wasn't expecting anything unusual. The telescope was called Big Ear. It had been scanning the sky for years, methodically, quietly, finding nothing. Radio noise, cosmic static, the ordinary silence of a universe that had never spoken back. Then he saw it, a sequence of characters so statistically improbable that Emmon did the only thing that made sense to him. He circled it in red pen and wrote one word in the margin. Wow! That notation gave the signal its name. And 49 years later, that word is still the most complete explanation science has offered. Let's be precise about this. The signal arrived at 10:16 p.m. Eastern Time. It lasted exactly 72 seconds, the maximum window. Big Ear could observe any fixed point in the sky given Earth's rotation. It came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. It was a narrow-band transmission centered near 1420 MHz, the frequency of neutral hydrogen, the most common element in the universe. That frequency is significant. For decades, scientists searching for extraterrestrial intelligence had argued that any civilization attempting contact would broadcast near 1420 MHz, precisely because every technological species would know it. It's written into the physics of the cosmos. It's the one channel the universe itself seems to suggest. And something used it. The signal's intensity rose and fell in exactly the pattern you would expect from a fixed point in deep space drifting through a radio telescope's field of view. It wasn't Earth-based interference. It wasn't a satellite. It wasn't a known natural phenomenon. It fit, with uncomfortable precision, the profile of what a targeted transmission from somewhere beyond our solar system would look like. And then it stopped. Here's what that actually means. Big Ear scanned that same region of sky again and again. Dozens of times over the following weeks, other telescopes turned toward Sagittarius. More sensitive instruments, better equipment. Nothing. The signal did not repeat. It left no trace. It offered no follow-up. It arrived once, fully formed, statistically anomalous, physically inexplicable, and disappeared. The silence that followed was, in some ways, louder than the signal itself. For years, the most common dismissal was this: it was probably a natural source we hadn't cataloged yet. A pulsar, perhaps. A previously unknown form of radio emission from a star or gas cloud. This is a reasonable scientific instinct. Assume the mundane before the extraordinary. But here's the problem. No natural source has ever been found that replicates the wow signal's characteristics. Pulsars repeat. That's definitional. It's in the name. Quasars emit across broad frequency ranges. Solar reflections and satellite interference were ruled out systematically. The signal was narrowband, in a way that natural astrophysical processes do not produce. The universe is not quiet at 1420 MHz, but it is not precise at 1420 MHz either. What was detected that night was precise, unnervingly precise. And then something happened. In 2016, a team led by astronomer Antonio Paris proposed a new explanation to comets to 66P.A. Christensen and 335P. Gibbs were in the region of sky near the WOW signal's origin point in 1977. Comets release hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas emits at 1420 MHz. The math, on paper, seemed to work. The scientific community exhaled. Except it doesn't. When researchers tested Paris's hypothesis directly, observing the comets he named as they passed through telescope fields, the signal was not reproduced. The hydrogen emission from comets is diffuse, broadband, inconsistent. It does not generate the sharp, intense, structured transmission recorded in 1977. The comet hypothesis, which had briefly felt like closure, collapsed under scrutiny. The wow signal was left, again, unexplained. Let's be precise about this. There are three categories that could contain the answer. Natural phenomenon, ruled out by every serious attempt to model one that fits. Human-made interference, eliminated by signal characteristics and timing. And a third category that no official scientific body has formally endorsed, but that None have formally eliminated either. We don't say that category out loud in most papers, but the data doesn't care what we say out loud. The Drake equation, formulated in 1961 by astronomer Frank Drake, attempts to estimate the number of communicating civilizations in the Milky Way alone. The variables are debated. The estimates range enormously, but even conservative inputs produce numbers that are difficult to dismiss. When you account for the age of the galaxy, the abundance of sun-like stars, the rate at which rocky planets form inhabitable zones, and the timeline of complex chemistry, the probability that we are the only technological species this universe has ever produced is not high. It is, in fact, statistically awkward. And yet, we have one signal, one moment of contact that fit every criterion researchers had pre-established for what a transmission from another civilization would look like. And it never came back. Here's what that actually means. There are several possibilities, and none of them are comfortable. The first, it was a natural source we still don't understand. The universe is strange. There are phenomena we haven't discovered yet. This is always true and always will be. The WOW signal may be waiting for a future physicist the way the cosmic microwave background waited for Penzias and Wilson, an answer that required instruments and frameworks that didn't yet exist. The second, it was a transmission, and we missed the window. Radio signals move at the speed of light. The source, whatever it was, may be hundreds of light years away. The signal we received in 1977 may have been sent when Rome was still a functioning empire. What sent it may no longer exist, or it may have sent one message and received no response and moved on. We had one 72-second window to reply. We didn't know to. The third possibility is the one that doesn't get discussed in press releases. It came back, and we weren't listening. Big Ear was demolished in 1997. The land was sold for a golf course. The telescope that detected the only anomalous signal in the history of SETI was physically dismantled 2 decades after its greatest moment. In the years since, our sky coverage for narrowband radio signals has been fragmentary, inconsistent, and systematically underfunded. The Breakthrough Listen initiative, launched in 2015, represents the most serious modern attempt to resume this work, but it covers a fraction of the sky. At any given moment, the vast majority of the observable universe is unmonitored. We are listening with one ear, in one direction, occasionally. And here's the part that sits quietly beneath all of it. The WOW signal was not detected in real time. Emin found it days later, reviewing paper printouts. There was no system in 1977 to alert researchers instantly. No automated flag. No protocol for immediate follow-up. By the time human eyes saw those characters on the page, the signal had been gone for days. We have, in the half-century since, built faster systems, better automated detection, improved protocols, but we still don't have coverage. We still scan in narrow windows. We still rely on funding cycles and institutional priorities and the patience of researchers working on grants that last 3 years at a time. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. The signal lasted 72 seconds. Let's be precise about what we're doing here. We are a species that has been capable of radio astronomy for roughly 100 years. In that window, that vanishingly brief, cosmically invisible window, something called out at exactly the frequency we said to use, with exactly the structure we said to look for, in a duration consistent with a fixed deep space source. And we have spent nearly 5 decades trying to convince ourselves it was a comet. The silence since 1977 is one of two things. Either the universe is empty in the way that makes the signal a glitch, an anomaly, a cosmic accident that mimicked contact without being it, or the universe is not empty, and something transmitted once, and has been waiting, and we have not answered. You are alive in the only period of human history when this question is scientifically addressable. The instruments exist, the frameworks exist, the signal exists, recorded, verified, studied, undisputed in its characteristics, if not its origin. What doesn't exist is certainty. On a printout in a filing cabinet in Ohio, A circled sequence of characters waits. It has been waiting longer than most people have been alive. It may wait considerably longer still.